dot, because that's where the root will come out. And so you want to scratch the seed coat there, so that you're just letting water in, but you're not damaging the embryo.
Would that be like for a lotus or a water lily for the seeds?
I know that they're very hard to germinate, but I don't know the protocol. But one of the ones that I do know that needs that is lupin. Are you familiar with lupins? Yeah, and they need that if you're growing them yourself. Usually if you notice, lupins in the wild will grow in really gravelly soils, and so the action of the gravel on them will do that in nature. But if you're putting them into nice soft peat moss, you know, you're going to have to scratch them first.
You're trying to make it too nice.
Yeah, you're making it too nice for them.
Last year, I'd never planted them before, and then last year one came up and I got one flower off it, and I thought, oh, this is driving me nuts, these have all failed. This spring, they're coming up all over the place. All these seeds I put in like last year, and maybe it's just taken like.
Well, what can also happen with plants with tough seed coats, if they're hardy plants, is that the freeze and thaw breaks down the seed coat.
Oh.
So that is also what might have happened with yours.
Really?
So plants some plants only have single dormancies in their seeds. Some plants have double or even triple dormancy in their seeds. So the first dormancy condition is broken, say, by the seed coat, water penetrating the seed coat. Some plants don't have that preventative dormancy. Some plants have very soft seed coats and the water goes through them really easily, so they don't have that form of dormancy. Other plants, and some plants, all you need to do is make them warm and wet, and that breaks their dormancy. Others, you have to get rid of the seed coat or weaken the seed coat in some way before you make them warm and wet to get rid of the dormancy. Some plants you even have to take and make very cold and then make very warm and then make very cold and then make very warm again to get rid of the dormancy. The Himalayan poppy, the blue poppy, Mecanopsis, that's what you have to do with it.
Oh yeah, oh, I never heard of it.
And that's, oh, it's beautiful, but notoriously hard to germinate. So we talked about this. Use seed that is guaranteed reliable for freshness and purity. Purchase seed that is packaged for the current year. Most seed companies, good seed companies, provide information on percent of germination. So generally, 65 to 80% of fresh seed will grow and the sown will germinate. And then 60 to 75% of those will grow into satisfactory seedlings. So you're not getting 100% ever. You're never getting 100%. All those little cells that you seeded, you can see already, some are, nothing's happening. Right? And it's only with very expensive seeds that you have any kind of guarantee of that. So make sure you choose your seeds properly. And the big thing here is choose varieties that will mature before frost. I mean, it's lovely to think about growing things like, well, even this peri-peri pepper I was talking about earlier, or habanero pepper. Like, wow, you probably have a pretty cool market for habanero peppers if you could grow them. There are people who really like them. Not a big market, but you know, there would be people that would buy them. But to get it to ripen here, even here in Port Alberni where there's a lot of heat, it's going to ripen really late in the season. So you better get it planted early. You're better off growing something with a shorter season here, and that way you are absolutely certain it's going to ripen. Because again, that season designation, it might say 100 days and you go, oh, no problem. I'll plant it in May, June, July. It'll be ready in August. But if all those days aren't ideal growing conditions for that particular plant, and some plants are fussier than others, cannabis is a weed,
You
You
can
know,
have that
it-
for-
it's
you
more
should in
adaptable.
October, and you're like, it's October, it's been 130-something days.
So, you know, you have to be careful, because even if it says 100 days, it might not, actually. Or yeah, oh, it's mature in 100 days, it has 1 pepper.
So
That's maturity.
And it'll take us 10 years to take our earliest pepper, and save the seed.
Yeah, that's right, yeah, that's
And
right,
it'll be
yeah.
65
Yeah.
by the time I got it right, and then I'll just start teaching people.
Right on. But yeah, so you have to kind of think about that when you're choosing your seed, like, how long is this going to take to mature? And give it more time. Don't assume that what it says on the package is going to be it, because maturity is just when it produces that first one. Well, that's no crop, you know, so it produces its first pepper October 15th and your frost is October 30th.
No good.
You're not gonna get a crop, right? You're not gonna get, and so you've used up that square foot that could have produced money, and all you got was 2 peppers. You know, so be really careful when you're choosing your seeds.
That's why I wondered if we, like at the, he has this big greenhouse, for the farm. I didn't
Yeah.
know if there's actually, like power down at the farm at all or not. But there was some, when we were going through the seeds, some of them say that they're better in pots. Like tomatoes, I think were one that's good in pots, right? Would we be able to, I don't know how they're doing them at the farm, if they're planting them in pots?
And I don't either yet.
Yeah, cause if
I
we could
don't
bring them
either.
into a greenhouse at the end of the year, cause sometimes we have really good Octobers here and then
Yeah.
sometimes we don't.
Yeah,
And it would be
that's right.
nice, cause we're farmers, to be able to now grab the tractor with pallets and start putting them all inside and turning on
You
some lights
bet.
just from the
And I
sun.
think this last grant that you got is for infrastructure on the farm, including power.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I don't even know if there's power there.
So-
There
Yeah,
isn't,
there
you know,
isn't.
and there's
Yeah.
nothing even growing, we don't have anything planted at all, as far as I know. We haven't planted anything, you know,
Yeah, so, I mean, your season is only so long, and, yeah, it is a consideration. I mean, a lot of the things that you guys are doing are, you know, as an exercise, it's a learning exercise. Not everything that you're planting now is gonna make it. I can guarantee you that. Like, melons, to plant melons this early is going to be really kind of tricky, because melons like it really warm. And they're gonna get really big before you're able to put them outside. It'll be very interesting to see how you handle them. So, I'm not saying it's impossible, but I am saying don't be disappointed, because some of this is just a learning thing, right? It's just like sketching. It's a exercise to learn things from. So, you know, don't get disappointed. So catalogs and seed packets may provide information on country of origin, bloom time, all those sorts of things. Also, the thing you really should watch for is, not from West Coast Seeds, because they don't treat their seeds, but some places treat their seeds, and it should indicate on the package if they're treated with fungicide. So of course, if they are treated with fungicide, as an organic grower, you don't even want to use them. As a conventional grower, you would have to be very careful. You don't want to handle it, you don't want to breathe the dust, you don't want to, you know, you don't want to be exposed more to the fungicide than you have to be. Can be a useful tool for conventional growers who want to sow in really wet soil to have their seeds treated with fungicide, but you know, that whole system of agriculture, as far as I'm concerned, is just wrong. So some vegetables and flower seeds, many are hybrids. Hybrids are crosses between 2 species. There's advantages and disadvantages to hybrid seeds. So the disadvantage is that hybrid seeds generally cost more, because someone has had to cross them and control environments, and then cross them again in a controlled environment. So it takes many years to produce a hybrid seed. Sometimes they have more vigor. And that's a good thing, right, to be more vigorous. It's almost like it gets away from inbreeding so the plants have more vigor. Uniformity. Sometimes that's a good thing and sometimes that's not a good thing. If you have an order for, say you have an order for 30 heads of broccoli for the middle of August. Well, you want all those 30 heads of broccoli to be ready the middle of August. So you want uniformity. If you're growing in your home garden, do you want 30 heads of broccoli all at once?
No.
So you don't want uniformity in your home garden as much. What you want to do is seed these seeds and maybe get one broccoli this week, one broccoli next week, oh, and maybe the week after you get two. You can freeze one. If you want to do things like freeze your broccoli for the winter, then maybe there's two ways of looking at it. I like to freeze just a little bit at a time so it doesn't feel like a chore. Other people like to do it all at once, get it over with. And so they plant seeds that are more uniform, because then they'll go, oh, you know, week 4 or 5, whenever my broccoli matures, I'll just do all my freezing of my broccoli for the whole winter, kind of thing. I personally don't freeze broccoli. I grow broccoli all through the year, so I'm only without broccoli for a couple of months of the year. My overwintering broccoli is just starting to produce now. So I was without broccoli for January and February, and a little bit of March. So I can live without broccoli that long. Especially if I have kale. And the other advantage to hybrid seed is that sometimes it has really good disease resistance, and it should note that on there. So with a tomato, say, I'll say resistant to fusarium, resistant to verticillium. So that doesn't mean it's never going to get it. What it means is that it might get it, but it'll still produce anyway. So there's tolerance and there's resistance, and so sometimes a hybrid is exactly what you want, but it's not what you want if you want to save your seeds. So, go.
I'm just wondering, because there's not much in the outline, but so sorry about the question, but will we at some point go through kind of each plant, maybe on a more individual level, and talk about like the various diseases that are specific to that one and that kind of thing, like nutritional profiles maybe and stuff like that?
We should definitely, when we've got, I should share with you my calendar. I'll see how I can best do that, because when we talk about, we're going to do a whole week or 2 weeks on insect and disease problems that can happen. I mean, I'm always proactive, thinking if you build up the soil and do all that stuff, you won't have problems. But if problems come up, you want to know what to expect, what to look for, and what to do. So sort of the when problems arise kind of section. So we will do that. And I'm not sure, we might be able to sort of go through each vegetable and what it likes and doesn't like. But you're growing so much stuff, but we can go through some main sort of categories. And okay, remind me, because I haven't got all the curriculum set in stone yet. I've got a vague kind of thing that I keep plugging into, so I might be able to squeeze that in. Okay, so sometimes it's disease resistant. Unfortunately, the thing about hybrids is hybridization takes a lot of time. So, of course, time is money. And so oftentimes things are hybridized for industry. And industry's main concern is shippability and storability. They want to be able to ship it long distances, and they want to store it for a long time, because our food system is so centralized that they have to. And people aren't happy with eating seasonally. They want their tomatoes year round. Whether they have to be shipped from 1,000 miles from here or not. And that's just the way we've been socialized. We've just been socialized to expect that. But I think if we're going to help save the planet, we have to kind of look at readjusting our social expectations and start saying, no, maybe we should eat in season. It kind of makes it more special that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, wow, now it's tomato season. You know, and it gives meaning to the whole flow of seasons and the whole flow of life. But that's not how it's been happening since I was a young girl. When I was a young girl, we only ate in the winter cabbage, potatoes, carrots, beets, winter squash, you know, the root vegetables, and winter squash, and the stuff my mom had canned.
You're preaching to the converted in this room, but how, like, if your goal in this
Thank you.
is to reach your community and educate them in that fact, like, where does that
You make it fun. You make it fun. People are looking for fun. Everybody needs more fun, right? So you make it fun. You have that garlic festival.
Right.
You have that first tomato festival. You know, you have, you know, you celebrate.
Girls
these
just
sorts of
wanna
things.
have fun.
It's true. Everybody just wants to have fun. You know, we took over the Parksville Museum Farmers Market. There were 3 women. We took it over. And right from the very get-go, we said, we want to have fun. We want to have fun. We want our customers to have fun. We want our vendors to have fun. It was wildly successful. It was falling apart before, it went from 30 vendors down to 5 before we took it over. We got it back up to 40-something. And it was just, I mean, that was our focus. We never took our eye off the ball. This has got to be fun. You know, and sometimes we acted silly and sometimes we acted stupid, but it was always fun. And people really responded to that. You know, they really did. And it was a great lesson. It really was fun. You know, so I didn't mind going to work every Sunday for this market because it was so much fun. And our vendors didn't mind showing up even if they didn't sell things because we made it fun. And so, yeah, I think that's how we do it.